Hi students, I'm Abhishek Kadra from Vidyaguru, and in today's session I'm going to teach you time, speed and distance. Students, the methods I'm going to discuss today are going to be shortest, smartest and the simplest methods for solving time, speed and distance questions. So if you like the video, please press the like button for sure, share the video with your friends and do not forget to subscribe to our channel. And while subscribing, make sure that you press the bell icon also. As you can see, I'm speaking in complete English, and why is that? Because our students from South India, our students from Northeast India, we take care of them as well because they are well versed in English language and face some difficulty while listening to Hindi. So what I would urge you is that you watch the video till the end, and if you like the video, if you really like our way of teaching, then call upon the numbers which are given on your screen so that you can be a part of our live classes, so that you can be a part of our video courses. Now let's get started. Let's look at the first question. It's an interesting question. Read it once, because when I discuss it in my class, students, a lot of my students end up thinking that this question cannot be solved because the data seems insufficient, the data seems incomplete. But let me assure you, the data is complete. Now, Joe walks to the market and comes back. He takes 90 minutes for the round trip. The first case, when he walks to the market and comes back by auto. Look at the second case. What happens? He takes auto both ways. While going and coming back, he takes auto both ways and it takes him 30 minutes. Sure. Now what happens? What is the time taken when he walks both ways? My students end up telling me, sir, the distance has not been given. Sir, the speed has not been given. How can we find time in such a case? Let's do it. Let's find time. Let's answer this question. Okay. Now the explanation, the interesting part. He walks to the market and comes back. It takes him 90 minutes. So the time while walking and the time while through auto is together 90 minutes. The sum total is 90 minutes. Now in the second case, we know that he takes auto both ways. He takes auto both ways. It takes him only 30 minutes. So students, from this particular part, he's taking auto both ways. It takes him 30 minutes. That means one side it takes him what? It takes him 15 minutes. It takes him 15 minutes for one single side. Now from here students, we can find out the time that he takes to walk to the market. So what is the time taken? Students, 15 will be subtracted. Auto takes 15 minutes. So the walk takes how much? Students, the walk takes 90 minus 15. That means the walk takes 75 minutes. Traveling by auto takes 15 minutes. Traveling by auto plus the walk takes 90 minutes. So automatically the walk alone takes 75 minutes. And now he is walking both ways. So 75 while going to the market, 75 while coming back from the market. So students, it is that simple. 75 plus 75, 150 minutes. 150 minutes, 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours he takes if he walks both ways. Isn't it interesting? That's why I said the shortest and the simplest methods are going to be taught. Now let's look at the next question. Again, a smart question. Let's make it simple. A car averages 50 kilometers for 50% of the distance, 40 kilometers for 40% of it, and 20 kilometers for the remaining. You have been given the distance in terms of percentage. So again, students end up feeling, sir, how to solve this question? We have to find out average trip, average speed for the trip. They keep memorizing the formula for average speed. Let's keep it simple, smart. So read the situation, understand the situation. 50%. For 50% of the distance, the speed is what? The speed is 50 kilometers. So let me assume that the total distance is 100 kilometers. Students, the total distance is 100 kilometers. So 50%, that means first 50 kilometers, these 50 kilometers, he travels by what? He travels by car. So while traveling these 50 kilometers, what is the speed? The speed is 50 kilometers per hour. Sure, the speed is 50 kilometers per hour. So to travel these 50 kilometers, what will be the time taken? The time taken will be, of course, 1 hour. Driving at 50 kilometers per hour, you cover 50 kilometers in 1 hour. Now what happens? 40% of the distance. Students, 40% of the distance, that means 40% of what we assumed. We assumed that the total distance was 100 kilometers. So the next 40 kilometers, students, the next 40 kilometers are covered at what speed? Are covered at the speed of 40 kilometers per hour. Again, the same thing, 40 kilometers at a speed of 40 kilometers per hour. So the time taken for this part is also 1 hour. So even the second part takes 1 hour. Now, what is the distance left? Students, we are left with 10%. We are left with 10%. That means we are left with these 10 kilometers. So the last segment, the 10% segment, that means the 10 kilometers which are left, they are covered at what? They are covered at a speed of 20 kilometers per hour. Very simple. So in 1 hour you are covering 20 kilometers. In 1 hour you are covering 20 kilometers. To cover 10 kilometers, you will take how much? You will take half an hour. Obviously, you will take half an hour. Sure. So now you are covering, students, you are covering a total distance of what? You are covering a total distance of 100 kilometers. Yes or no? What is average speed? Students, average speed is total distance upon total time. Total distance is what? Total distance is 100. Now look at the total time. The total time is what? The total time is 2.5 hours. So basically, average speed will be what? Total distance upon total time. 2.5 hours is the total time. So 100 upon 2.5. 100 upon 2.5 hours. That means it turns out to be, students, 40 kilometers per hour. 40 kilometers per hour. It is that simple, isn't it? So now what you need to do is attempt the question. Now we will be discussing the question which I gave you as assignment in the previous time, speed and distance class. Let's have a look at that also, because I promised you that I'll be discussing this question also. So if you haven't watched this time, speed and distance video where it was given as an assignment, watch it as well. Anyway, what happens? From his house, Ravi walks at a speed of 2.5 kilometers per hour and reaches school 6 minutes late. He is reaching school 6 minutes late if he walks at 2.5 kilometers per hour. Next day, what he does? He increases his speed by 1 kilometer per hour. Sure. Now we have been given two speeds. So of course the time taken will also change. Next day his speed is increased by 1 kilometer per hour. He reaches school 6 minutes early. So you are given two parameters, you are given two quantities. And what are those? We have time and we have speed. So students, we will not focus on exact numbers. We will only focus on ratio for the start. So what was the original speed? Students, the original speed was what? The original speed was 2.5 kilometers per hour. Now he has increased his speed. That means the new speed is what, students? The new speed is 3.5 kilometers per hour. Focus on the ratio. Sure. So the ratio of the speed is 2.5 is to 3.5. The ratio is important. So the time taken, students, the time taken will be in inverse ratio. Obviously, if you are increasing the speed, you will take less time. If you are increasing the speed, you will take less time. So the time will also move in inverse proportion. The time will move in inverse proportion. The speed has increased in the ratio 2.5 is to 3.5. So what will happen to the time? Simply the inverse ratio. That means the time taken now will be 2.5 and the time taken earlier was 3.5. It's very simple, students. The ratio has been inversed because we know that the time taken will decrease when the speed increases. So when the speed becomes 3.5 kilometers per hour, time becomes less, it becomes 2.5. What was the time earlier? Of course, the time earlier will be 3.5. The ratio is getting inversed. Now let's compare the two. Earlier, the time taken was 3.5 parts. Now the time taken is only 2.5 parts. So students, what is the difference? There is a difference of 1 part. The difference in time is only 1 part. But what is it in terms of minutes? What is it in terms of minutes? Earlier he was 6 minutes late. Now he is 6 minutes early. That means earlier he was 6 minutes late. Now he is 6 minutes early. So what happens? There is a total gap of 12 minutes. Students, the total gap is not 6 minutes. Now he is reaching 6 minutes early from the scheduled time. Earlier he was 6 minutes late from the scheduled time. So the gap is what? The gap is 12 minutes. So students, 1 part is equal to 12 minutes. So I have to compare it. With the speed. When I compare it with the speed is given in kilometers per hour. So my time should also be in hours because the speed is in kilometers per hour. So the time will be what? 1 part is equal to 12 by 60. I'm dividing it by 60 because I'm converting it in hours. Sure? So 1 part is equal to 12 by 60 hours. What was the time taken? Students, the time taken earlier was 3.5 parts. 1 part is equal to 12 by 60. So 3.5 parts is what? 3.5 into 12 upon 60. 3.5 into 12 upon 60. That was the time. That was the time taken earlier. So what will it be? 12 5s are 60. It will be 7 upon 10. Students, the time taken earlier was 7 by 10 hours. The time taken earlier was 7 by 10 hours. What was the speed? Speed earlier. Look at it. The time taken earlier was 7 by 10 hours because we considered it 3.5 parts. So it turns out to be 7 upon 10 hours. So what was the speed earlier? It was 2.5 kilometers per hour. So the distance which we have to find out is very simple. Distance is equal to speed into time. The speed was 2.5. Sure, students, the time is what? The time is 7 upon 10. Now you can solve it easily. You can solve it, remove the decimal, and it will be what, students? 25 4s are 100. Yes, 25 4s are 100. So the answer turns out to be 7 upon 4. The answer turns out to be 7 upon 4 kilometers. That means 1 3 by 4. 1 3 by 4 kilometers. Sure. So 1 kilometer and 3/4. So 1 and 3/4. So with that, I'm going to wind up today's session. I hope you have liked it. So make sure you press the bell icon and be a part of our live courses, be a part of our online courses. So with that, I'm going to wind up. Make sure that you share the video as well. God bless you.